Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. This is Marta's Sci-Fi Seminar. Due to technical difficulties, I've had to reshoot this several times, so if I start laughing without apparent cause, well, there it is. Congratulations, this is drafting video 13 of 13. If you have been subscribing or following along on your own, you may be as far as 60,000 words in your first novel, which for many of you means you're done. Now, if you're not, do not despair. I'm breaking from the channel's usual format for all of November to do shorty little daily NaNoWriMo videos for the folks who are doing the novel writing experience as a 30-day just wow. I don't even know what to call it. I want to say sprint versus marathon, but sprint doesn't really even seem adequate to the task of writing a novel in 30 days. So I will say for those folks who are doing NaNoWriMo instead of the 6-month route to novel writing, I'll be doing shorty videos all month, and that will let the rest of you, if your novel has gone over the 60,000 mark, or if you're just slower coming into things. You've got all of November to finish out the draft of your first novel, which for those of you who have finished, congratulations! Oh! And then in December, we will pick back up in the regular channel format, but instead of videos about the drafting process, we will be talking about editing, okay? I've been a professional editor for a couple of decades, and I have lots of info to share in that regard. However, today, we need to just celebrate your 60,000 words. Watch for the storage on my iPhone not to kick me out of this with a storage warning again. So I'm gonna move through this a little quicker than I might otherwise. I feel like a teacher on the last day of school giving you homework for summer vacation, but that's what I'm going to do anyway. We've been talking about elements of fiction and other literary terms, the 2 literary terms I want you to think about as you are resting from the completion of your draft or as you are clicking through finishing it, are myth and archetype. Until about the last generation, for most folks in the United States and Europe, myth has meant Greco-Roman mythology and all the gods and goddesses therein. We are at a time where lots more material has become available in English in the US and in Europe. That lets us look at the mythologies, the folklores, the cultural stories from around the world. A chance to be less insular, a chance to broaden our thinking by looking at old stories from other places. For those of you who have not seen yourselves in the Greco-Roman mythologies we've previously had available, then hopefully this is a chance for you all to find some connection to your roots, racial, ethnic, geographic. Those of you who have family lines, who have been enslaved, those of you who have family lines who have been displaced, this is understandably a different process than it is for folks whose family lives, whose ancestry has not been disrupted in that way. I hope that you are all able to find yourselves in some of the world's old stories, and that white folks, you are able to enjoy the old stories of other places and other cultures without feeling like you have to steal them and appropriate them into your own work. So if you're not sure what cultural appropriation means, or if you're doing it, you can watch some of my older videos, and there's lots of material available online about cultural appropriation. One of the real simple little examples that has emerged of late, white artists on TikTok stealing stuff from Black artists on TikTok, and using those stolen dance moves, stolen music, to make their own accounts more popular without giving credit to the original creators of the stuff. TikTok would be, as I understand it, a very different place if the white folks who had discovered cool new stuff in the accounts of Black creators had asked to repost from those Black creators and then respectfully reposted with contact information and credit included to those creators. Okay? So that's a tiny contemporary example of cultural appropriation in action, but it happens with mythologies and whatnot as well. So please do it. An exploration of the mythos of your own culture and exploration of the mythos of other cultures can be very valuable. But it's also important to be sensitive about what happens then when that starts to, when you start wanting to put things together in your own work. So that's mythology. Archetype is to myth what character is to story. So the archetypes are those larger than life figures or those stock characters that we find in cultural stories. It can be really interesting to look at your own work and see where you are making use of those archetypes. And I will do a little promotion here for one set of my NaNoWriMo videos. On Tuesdays, I will be talking about tarot cards, and I'll be doing a little tarot work. I use tarot a lot in my novels. I use tarot in my personal life. And the tarot is all built around archetypes. Carl Jung, the famous psychiatrist, who talked a lot about dream interpretation, and archetype, was an ardent tarot practitioner himself. So Jung's interest in archetypes came from his work as a tarotist. So an interesting connection there. So big things, myths and archetypes for you to think about as they pertain to your writing. And as you get ready to do some revision, it can be interesting to see how those things are playing out in your work. And then I have a review. Highly recommend, if you love space opera, if you love stories about traveling circuses, especially if you love space opera about traveling circuses, and I do, highly recommend Jennifer Lee Rossman's Jetstar's Intergalactic Freak Show. Rossman's professional bio lists them as a queer, autistic, disabled science fiction writer. So how all of the thinking that goes into processing all of those identities becomes art in Jack Jetstar's world is pretty amazing. It's a really fun ride. Highly recommended. And I'm worried that I'm running out of space, so I'm going to bid you goodbye and tell you I will be here for shorty NaNoWriMo videos all through November and back for editing videos in December. Bye-bye. Keep reading, keep writing.